In a lavish world where image and status dictate worth, a millionaire invited an obese woman to a luxury party, intending to humiliate her for his amusement. But when she arrived, what she did horrified every guest, shattering their shallow illusions and revealing a truth no one expected. The story opens in the pristine halls of the Golden Crest, a five-star hotel owned by the infamous business tycoon, Victor Hanover. Victor, a self-made millionaire with a reputation for his ruthless rise to success, was known for his extravagant parties. These gatherings were exclusive, attended by the wealthiest and most influential people. It was where deals were made, alliances formed, and fortunes solidified. But behind Victor's charm and sharp smile lay a darker intent. Victor relished in power, not just in business, but over people. He enjoyed watching others squirm, especially those he deemed lesser. His parties often had an element of cruel entertainment hidden beneath the surface. A person or a group would become the night's joke, an unwitting target of his ridicule. For Victor, life was a game, and people were pawns. One day, as Victor sat with his close circle in a luxurious cigar lounge, he hatched a plan. "Let's invite someone who doesn't belong in our world," he said, his eyes gleaming with mischief. His friends leaned in, curious. "I want to see how the rich and beautiful react when they're faced with someone repulsive." After some thought, Victor remembered seeing an obese woman on social media. Her name was Rose, a kind-hearted local woman known for her volunteer work, running charity events for underprivileged children, but she was the antithesis of the wealthy elite, large, frumpy, and modest. She wasn't conventionally attractive by society's standards. Victor smirked. He saw her as perfect prey for his cruel game. He sent Rose an elegant invitation to one of his upcoming parties, an event at the Golden Crest, under the guise of charity, knowing she had a soft spot for philanthropy. Rose, flattered and naive to Victor's true intentions, accepted. As the date approached, Victor and his friends laughed at the thought of Rose walking into a room filled with models, socialites, and moguls. They couldn't wait to watch the looks of disgust and whispers that would follow her. Victor's plan was set. He would humiliate Rose in front of everyone. Rose McAllister had always been self-conscious about her appearance. She had lived with obesity since childhood, the result of genetics and a tumultuous upbringing where food had become her comfort. But despite the cruel comments and judgment from others, Rose's spirit remained unbroken. She was loved by her community for her generosity and her big heart. She spent her days working at a shelter, helping those less fortunate, and organizing events to raise money for the homeless. When the invitation from Victor arrived, Rose felt out of place. She didn't fit into the high society world, but the mention of a charity angle piqued her interest. Maybe she could make some connections to help her cause. Nervous but hopeful, she decided to go, though the idea of attending such an event terrified her. She had no idea what awaited her. As she prepared for the evening, Rose did everything she could to look her best. She hired a stylist to help her with her hair and makeup, and she purchased an elegant dress, though she feared it might not be enough to blend in with the elite crowd. The night of the party arrived. The ballroom of the Golden Crest sparkled with chandeliers and ornate decorations, creating an atmosphere of opulence. Guests draped in designer gowns and tailored suits milled about, sipping champagne and exchanging idle chatter. The air was filled with laughter and the tinkling of glasses, but there was an undercurrent of anticipation. Victor had shared with his friends what was about to happen, and they were eager to witness the spectacle. Rose arrived at the grand entrance, her heart pounding in her chest. She was immediately aware of how out of place she was. The women were tall and slim, and the men were polished and lean. Eyes turned towards her, some curious, others judging. Whispers started spreading through the crowd. As Rose walked in, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She felt every stare, every smirk. Victor watched from a distance, a smug grin spreading across his face. This was exactly what he had hoped for. But as Rose made her way deeper into the room, something unexpected happened. Rather than crumbling under the crowd's judgmental eyes, Rose stood tall. She approached the buffet, where a variety of lavish foods were on display. The guests expected her to overindulge, further playing into their cruel stereotypes. But instead, Rose did something that silenced the entire room. She picked up the microphone for the event speaker and addressed the room. "Good evening," she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I was invited here tonight believing this was a charity event. I came, not for myself, but for the children I work with. I was hoping to meet people who cared about making a difference." The room grew still, and Victor's grin faded. "I see now," Rose continued, "that this was not about charity at all. It was about spectacle. It was about making someone like me, someone who doesn't fit into your world, feel small." Gasps rippled through the crowd as people began to shift uncomfortably. Victor's friends exchanged nervous glances. "But you see," Rose said, her voice growing stronger, "I will not be made to feel small. Not by any of you." And with that, Rose dropped the microphone and walked out, leaving the entire ballroom in stunned silence. Victor, for the first time, felt his control slipping. This wasn't how the night was supposed to go. She had turned the tables on him, exposing his cruelty in front of everyone. As Rose left the ballroom, Victor tried to brush off the incident, joking with his friends about how it was just a stunt. But the mood had shifted. His guests began whispering, not about Rose, but about Victor. What kind of man would invite someone to humiliate them? What did it say about him? Some guests began leaving early, uncomfortable with the evening's cruel undertone. But the night was far from over. As the last of the guests trickled out, Victor received a phone call from his assistant. The press had somehow gotten wind of the night's events. By morning, news articles began circulating, exposing Victor's plan to humiliate Rose. Social media exploded with outrage. People who had once admired Victor now saw him as a villain, his cruelty laid bare for all to see. But the true horror came when Victor returned home. He found his mansion eerily silent. His fiancée, Sarah, who had been at the party, was nowhere to be found. A note sat on the kitchen counter: "I can't marry a man who finds joy in other people's pain." It was the beginning of Victor's downfall. In the following weeks, Victor's empire began to crumble. Investors pulled out of his projects, not wanting to be associated with the bad press. His friends distanced themselves, fearing they too would be caught in the backlash. Victor's carefully curated image of success and charm shattered overnight. Meanwhile, Rose's life took an unexpected turn. The viral story of her bravery at the party caught the attention of several philanthropists. Donations poured into her charity, allowing her to expand her work and help even more people. She became a symbol of resilience, a woman who had turned humiliation into triumph. Victor, once a towering figure of wealth and power, was left alone, his reputation in ruins. He had invited Rose to his party to mock her, but in the end, it was he who had been exposed, his cruelty laid bare for the world to see. As for Rose, she continued to thrive, not just because of the donations, but because she had learned something far more valuable: true power isn't in wealth or status. It's in kindness, resilience, and the ability to stand tall, even when the world tries to tear you down. The end.